Are you struggling to regain sustainability in your life and create a positive life stance? If so, listen in as courageous women share their empowering struggle of how they came through the trenches to restart and recreate a victorious life worth living. They took their power back. Learn the secrets of how they did it, and you can too. Welcome to the Real Heart Talk podcast and 360 Network for Women. And here's your host, Pamela Duran.
Hello, Real Heart Talk. You are enough listeners. Welcome. Today we have a special guest all the way from Texas. So excited. LaQuita Middleton. She is a teacher, a motivational speaker. She stands for women empowerment, and she has triumphed over her trauma. And she is going to share her powerful story of taking her power back and how she empowers women and her class today. Welcome, LaQuita.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on the show. I am so excited. Oh my goodness, this is a wonderful opportunity.
Yes, and I am so excited that you could be here as well to share, because we need more women to stand up and give that example and share how they empower others. And I know you're into motivational speaking, but I would like for you to tell us a little bit about, your background, who you are, and how you got to where you are today.
Oh, okay. Yes, I am from the city known as Birmingham at one point in time. So I am from Birmingham, Alabama, and I was raised mostly in foster care, but I did have some times when I did live with my biological mother, and oh boy, that was trauma city. But yeah, I was able to grow up and get out of that system and really succeed beyond the odds. All of the stereotypes that people would say about me, and they would stereotype me just because I was in foster care, like, oh, foster kids, foster care girls, you're going to be pregnant and by 18, 17 or 18, and then you're going to be pregnant. Well, I said that, but you're going to be pregnant by 17 or 18. You're not going to finish high school. And I actually heard people say that to me, and I was looking at them and I was like, well, haven't you actually met me? Because that wasn't even my thing, all of the little naughty stuff, that wasn't my stilo. I didn't really take too much into that. And I was in all advanced classes from 7th grade all the way through high school. I was in show choir and actually probably about 20 different activities at school and at church basically every school year. So those stereotypes should not have applied to me, but they were so blinded by
Right.
the stereotypes, oh, this
Mhm.
girl, that happened to this girl and that girl, that they automatically apply those to me. So yes, I have a pretty varied story, and I I think I had an inner desire to succeed. I knew I did not want to be like my mother. We look just alike almost. I'm just heavier than she is, and she's a little bit taller than I am, but I
Mhm.
look just like her. But outside of that, there are very, very few similarities. And I think that just that inner desire to succeed really led me to where I am now, to where I feel more in control of my life. I feel more powerful. I feel more empowered.
Mhm.
And yeah, I would love to share some of those stories with you all today.
That is so amazing, and congratulations to you to power through and not let the words of someone else that don't even know you, overcome you and take over your thought life. That is great. You had a winner's mindset even back then when you were in the foster care. I do want to ask you about your foster care. How old were you when you entered the foster care?
Well, I will say that I was so young, I don't even remember. I remember my first inkling that something wasn't right in my family life. I remember I must have been maybe about 3, probably about 4. And I
Mhm.
remember being in a group home, and I remember being taken away in a car. I didn't see my mom for a long time. I was in this strange house in a strange environment, meaning that I had never been there before.
Mhm.
And I found out later, of course, as I got older, it was a group home. And I stayed there for a while with my little brother and I. And then after being there for, I don't know, you kids don't know time, right?
Right.
after being after being there for maybe a month or two, sometime I left and we were placed into foster care with this foster lady. So still not seeing mom, not
Mhm.
seeing any kind of familiarity with the people or the environment. And thankfully, one of the reasons I don't necessarily talk too much about my foster care story is because, and I really should, but I know that there are so many people across the country and across the world who have experienced foster care and their experiences were terrible.
Mhm.
I was blessed to actually have a great experience, to have a great set of foster parents from home to home that I was living with who actually loved God. They believed in God. They made sure I went to church. One family, they had weekly Bible studies and everybody had to participate beyond reading, just reading the word. We had to, talk about how it made us feel, what it's making us
Mhm.
think and all of that. And so God blessed me in that regard. And I think that well, I will say I was in the Bible Belt, right?
Yes.
In Alabama.
Yeah.
So being in the Bible Belt, being in those fantastic homes, I think God was just preparing me for what He knew He was going to allow to happen to me in the future and happen for me in my future.
Yeah. So how many foster homes do you remember how many you were in?
I remember, let me see, maybe four. So
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot because I was in the group home and then I moved to a foster home where I stayed there for maybe about 3 years. Then I moved back with my mom for several years. And then I moved with my cousin for about a month or whatever. And then I moved to another group home and I moved to, oh goodness, so maybe six. It was about six, including the group homes.
And this was to protect you for your safety. Your mother, is she couldn't provide for you? Is that why you?
Well, yeah, it was a lot of that. And I will say this, a lot of time when trauma happens in family, it ends up being like when you do your research, it ends up being a generational thing. And
Right.
as I got older, in our communities, we don't necessarily share information from generation to generation. So as I was getting older, I started hearing a little bit here and a little bit there. And my mother endured some of like the world's most atrocious atrocities,
Mhm.
so terrible. And her medicine of choice was, using drugs. And what I learned actually after my oldest brother was murdered in 2016, and I'm not going to bring the mood down or anything, but that
Yeah.
brought me,
Sorry about that. To hear that. Mhm.
oh, thank you. What That's what brought my little brother and I closer together. And then he started telling me things and he was like, mom was addicted to crack, right? And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, because my dad was, because of course, we have different dads. Hate
Mhm.
to say, of course, but he was like, yeah, because my dad was her dealer. And I was like, are you serious? I was
Oh
like,
my
what?
goodness. Oh my
And I'm
god.
like, I'm in my 30s finding this out. Like, what?
Yeah. I know. It's funny how, well, not funny, but strange how you find things out when you're older, and that wasn't your perception at all when you were
Mhm.
young. It is strange like that. Well, is your mom still alive today?
Yeah, she is. She deals with a lot of mental issues. So
Mm.
our relationship is non-existent now just because I have to save my mental health because I am a mother of children and I want to raise them to be great and grand people. So, if the Lord sees fit, that relationship will be repaired. But I know that I have to be more concerned about my mental health because I have to be that stronghold for the children that I'm raising. And I think that I've been doing a pretty good job so far. But But
Well, you
yes,
sound amazing. So they have an amazing mom raising them. I
yes,
mean, you
thanks.
definitely saw, you said you had an inner desire, but I want to say you have an inner fire. You
Ooh,
know,
yes, I love
see,
that.
so yeah, you just have that passion, that drawing. And I don't, maybe it was, from being raised with the Christian people, or
Mhm.
um, having that true north, to go to, that what's carrying you forward. Okay, just one last question about the foster. And the reason I'm asking, we just had a lady come to our church yesterday, and she was telling us about foster care in our county. And we have like a little campus here, and they have like 40 children. And she was talking about that. So when you get to the age, I don't know if it's 17 or 18 that you leave, I mean, what happens at that time? Is there any kind of transition? I mean, do they do like hand holding? Do they just throw you out the door? I mean, I really don't know. So I was just hoping you might share a little bit about that.
Oh, yes. So there is a program. I know I was in foster care in the state of Alabama, and we have this program called the Independent Living Program. And that program is amazing because when I was about to say students, because I'm so because of the age range, because I teach kids too. But what I love about the program is that during their last year, maybe in their senior year of high school, when they're 17, when they're about to age out of the program, they start taking a lot of classes, excuse me, and different classes on budgeting, doing a checkbook. It may be different now because, who writes checks anymore?
Yeah.
Running a household.
How to do
Yeah.
online billing.
Yes, online billing and all of that. And they practice that throughout the year. They meet every month. They do different activities. They have different community members to come in. And one of the things that I did, because, God just loves me so much, that He blessed me with a full tuition scholarship to college.
Oh,
And
that's such a blessing. Yes.
yes, yes, and I definitely took them up on their offer, and I make them proud every day, I know. But
That's
yeah.
amazing. That's what I was wondering. I mean, I didn't feel like they just left, the kids to be on their own, because,
Mhm.
hopefully there is a relationship there with the foster parents that they were with, and even with the people, in the foster care program. So that is
Yeah.
good to know. Oh, do you have one more thing you want to share about that?
Oh, yes, I was just gonna say that, throughout my senior year, we had all of these different events and things so that we could take part in, and then, once I graduated, I could have technically aged out then, but one of the things my social worker at the time was telling me was that since I was still in college, I could still technically be under, their umbrella, and what
Uh,
they would do, I would send them my report cards, and
uh-huh.
then for every A, for every B, for every C or whatever, they would actually send me money. So I was still getting some help from DHR, even though I wasn't technically under
Yeah.
their care anymore. And yeah, so they were able to help me out that way. And I remember one summer they paid for my apartment the entire summer. So I was able to stay there and actually work. So that was really, really good.
That is so awesome. Well, that is good to know. And it's good to know that our foster care program, in the States, and I would
Mhm.
think it's similar from state to state, is really helping the kids out and making
Exactly.
sure that they have a solid foundation, because that's what's important. We need to make
Mhm.
sure they have a solid foundation. And we're going to switch gears a little bit, because now that you've been to college and you are a teacher, tell us a little bit about your teaching. And I heard an update. Can I share? Or do you want me to wait?
Okay, okay, you can share, go ahead.
So LaQuita, y'all, was nominated for Teacher of the Year. Isn't that so exciting? Congratulations. So tell
Thank
us
you.
about your teaching journey and where you're at and how you use your motivational speaking to help your kids.
Oh, yes. This is year 9 for me. So for me to receive this nomination, I feel like I am already on top of the world. I feel like I've already won the top prize. Like I am in here. And my journey started into teaching. Really, it started when I was in preschool, because I tell this story all the time. I remember being in preschool in that first foster home that I remember. whenever my friends would come over and they was like, "Hey, LaQuita, you want to go out and play? You want to go to play?" And so I was like, "Oh, well, we got to do school first." So I had my little kid easel, and then I would teach them how to spell things, teach them, whatever I felt like, some math, and and
That's
so when I got tired of teaching the kids, then that's when we could go and climb trees and make mud pies and things like that, play with crickets. But it was like lovely. But as an adult, I found myself going into education in a variety of different areas. Like I used to work in the education department of the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute. I was the education chair of the Metro Birmingham branch NAACP. So I would do educational activities and programs and such. But I finally got into education as a formal classroom teacher in 2014. And so I was able to teach in Uniontown, Alabama, which nobody really knows of. And that was my first year. And then I came back to Birmingham for a couple of years. And then I moved out here to Texas, which I have been teaching ever since. So it has been a journey. It has been, a lot of ups and downs. And I just thank God, honestly, for all of the ups that I'm having now, because this is by far the best campus that I have been a part of. So I absolutely love it.
That is wonderful. And you know what, LaQuita, this didn't just happen. It's not by accident. You
Mm,
are planting seeds. You're in your harvest time now. You're harvesting all the favor of God by being the teacher of the year. You were planting seeds back when you were in pre-K, doing the little teaching back then. So this is how we go through life. We are a seeder. So I have a women's talk that I do about this. So it gets me really excited because we are seeds. What are we becoming,
yes.
transforming into for God? And you are transforming into a beautiful educator, imparting that knowledge and sharing and raising up women to be leaders in our country. That is so amazing.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. It feels so great to be recognized.
Yes. So how do you incorporate your motivational speaking into your teaching? How do you empower your students?
I love that question because it's like, oh, the star is coming up, we have these standardized tests coming up. When do we actually have the time to actually motivate students? So one of the things that I remember, and this just came to my mind just a few seconds before you asked the question, during COVID, when COVID first hit in March of 2020, we had to scramble. What are we going to do for the rest of the school year? When we got back with the students in the fall, the new set of students in the fall, I remember just encouraging them during that moment. Hey guys, this is different for all of us, right? But how great would it be for us that even though school is 100% different than what it used to be, we still excel. And I was, just using those moments to just encourage them. And a lot of students were, of course, a lot of students across the country and maybe even the world are
Mhm.
even maybe grade levels behind. And so what I always told them is that I absolutely love high achievement, but what I can tell you that I would want more out of you, first of all, it would be unfair for me to expect if you have an average, say, we'll just say a 30, right?
Mhm.
Out of 100. And it's unfair for me to think that, okay, you're going to go from a 30 on this test to the very next test in 7 days to make a 100 and continue making 100s. So that's really unfair. But what I want to see from you is progress. Don't
Mm.
stay where you are. So whatever you're doing this time, if you don't like your grade, whatever that grade is, it can be an 80. If you want a 90, what do you need to do that's different, that's going to help pull you over that threshold of the A? And
I
I've been,
love that. I love you
mhm.
meant their progress, not perfection or, set it so high that they can't meet it. So they just don't even try. But I love that.
Yes, and I've been doing that this year with them as well. And whenever we have an assessment, it can be an exit ticket, which is like 5 questions on the lesson of the day. Or if we're having a test that might have maybe 12 questions or 15 questions, I always tell them, okay, this is what you made the last time. And what I'm seeing is progress. Or even if they don't progress, they kind of stay where they are or they score lower, then I'm going to have a one-on-one talk with them right at the back of the classroom and say, hey, I've been noticing that you've been kind of off task lately. And when I tell you, you might get upset, but I really know that you can do this. So you just have to show it on paper. So it's
Mm.
not, oh, your kids are, negative negative adjective. It's like, no, we're going to work through this together. And I see that you're trying. And I
Mm.
send those home to parents as well to let them know, like, hey, your kid they may not be achieving just yet, but
Mhm.
I see that they're making progress because they're always coming to class and they're not skipping anymore, or they're bringing their supplies, or they're actually picking up their supplies and actually writing with it. They're asking me questions or participating in the lesson. And that's really what I want to see, because they have so much, they have the world right before them. And I want to prepare our students that I'm able to teach, that I'm able to reach, prepare them for the world that they're going to soon inherit. So,
Yes.
mhm.
Yes. Progress over perfection. That's great. And as you have your inner desire and fire, how do you transfer that to them? I mean, we know, from John C. Maxwell and all the motivational speakers that your day is won by your daily routine. Is there some daily routine that you try to instill in your students to take forward with them once they leave your classroom so that they can feel that sense of success?
Yes. So one of the things that I started maybe around year three, no, year two. Yeah, year two. I started writing. I'm a poet as well, so I love words. Like I
Yeah.
called myself earlier using alliteration, and I was like, okay, LaQuita, this is an interview, not a poem. But but one of the things that I love to do is write a mantra per se
Oh,
for
okay.
the entire class to do. And they'll come in like, oh man, do I have to really say it? Oh, miss, and they're too cool for school. And
Yeah.
then after doing it for a few weeks, I start seeing them, like I'll have it posted really large in the classroom so everybody can see it. And then they'll say, well, they'll, try to look too cool for school, and then they'll be looking away, but they're trying to memorize or see how much they have memorized or whatever, and because they want to be the first student to have the entire thing memorized. And one year it was so cool because at the very end of the year, my principal at this school was like clamoring, like, oh my gosh, what can we have the kids to say together, something for them to do together. And several of my students says, oh, we can say the mantra that we do in Miss Middleton's room. And he was like, well, let me
Aw.
hear it. And they said it to her, and she was like, oh my God, this would be perfect. And all the kids was just in it. There were no kids. And it was really like a mantra, because with mantras, what made them work is that you say it over and over again.
Yes.
It,
Yes, you do.
you
Because repetition
empower
is the key to success. Yeah.
Yes, and it's like regardless of where you came from, I've had other students who have been in foster care. I've had other students who might be living with their grandparents, or something may have happened with their parents, like where they're no longer with us. So so many different backstories, but it doesn't matter where you came from. You have to decide where you want to be in life. And if you ride this wave with me, I'm going to help you plant some of those seeds that you were talking about, Miss Pamela. Plant some of
Yes.
those seeds, and I'm going to plant some of these seeds, but then I'm going to prepare you to go out into the world so other people around you, the people that you choose to be around, will water them and not pluck them up.
Yes. That is wonderful. So can you give us like a little line of one of your mantras just to show
Oh
us like
boy.
positive motivation? Yeah.
Oh gosh, I should have been prepared for this. I haven't. Oh my goodness,
Well, if
Lord.
you don't have one on top of your head, that's okay. I just thought you might have one handy.
Oh gosh. No, because I've written so many. I remember one year I worked I was a team program director of a nonprofit organization, and I wrote them one, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, where did you find this?" And I was like, "I found it in my mind."
We should make a mantra book or put all of those together in a book and publish it. That would be nice.
Oh yeah, and that's one of the things that I do. What I have done, publish books for others, and I have books myself, and that's one of the things that I am working on. And I said I'm going to get it done in 2024. I came out with a book last year, so this year I have to come out with a book as well, and I want it to be a book of affirmations. So, but then that's a great idea to include all of my mantras, that
Yeah.
maybe teachers can actually use with their students, because it really, really works. It really
Yeah.
works.
And that would even be a nice present, like, when they graduate from your class to go to the next class. That would be nice.
Yes. Oh, let me see. Hold on. I'm trying to
O-
see. I found a part of one.
Okay. Well, if you just share a little snippet, I thought that would be nice for our listeners to share, because I believe in declarations, affirmations, mantras, because that is how you really get it into your spirit. Even the word, when you speak the word out loud, you create, and you're creating that in your life because God spoke and He created. We're made in His image. So when we speak those words,
Mhm.
it is going to create in our life or in our children's or our grandchildren's or our students, whoever, is around us, it's going to create in their life as well.
Exactly, exactly. So this one is a far away picture of it. So I can't read all of it, it's all blurred out. But basically the part I can read out is that it says, I am a good person. I am wonderful. I am honorable. I am, and it just keeps saying, it has like several
Amen.
lines of I ams.
I love
And
it.
man, it's like regardless of what the world says that you are, like I mentioned in the beginning, there were so many stereotypes against me just because even though I didn't know, my mom's full story at that particular age, they knew, the social workers and such, they knew what her story was. And so based upon what they knew about our family, they placed stereotypes upon me, which it didn't work.
Yeah.
So wherever you are in the world, wherever you are listening to this, I just really want your listeners to know that it doesn't matter what the world says about you. They talked about Jesus. This man was out here healing people, healing
Mhm.
them from all of their, not only their sins, but from their physical ailments that was, just breaking their bodies down.
Yes.
You know, man couldn't see. He got some dirt, some spit, and wiped it on his eyes, and the man could see like he had
Yeah.
never seen before. I'm like, you literally gonna put spit on me, Jesus? But hey, you gonna give me my spit back?
But it
Okay.
was because of his belief, his
Thank
faith
you.
mixed with Jesus's power healed him.
Yes.
But that same power is alive today in you and me and people
Yes.
that have the Lord in their life. They have that same power that can heal, raise people from the dead, that can do those same miracles. We're supposed to do greater miracles than He did. So let's see them. Let's start seeing those greater miracles. I'm ready for
I know that's right. I definitely know that's right. We have to be able to speak those things that are not as though they were, and then start
them.
walking into that life that God has placed before us, because I know God doesn't want me to struggle. I know God doesn't want me to be ridden with heartache. I know God doesn't want me to be dealing with mental health issues, like I'm just sad or I'm depressed or whatever. God can work through anything. He can work through anybody. And one thing we used to say in the Pentecostal church. I grew up Pentecostal in holiness, and there was a song. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And there was this song that said, "Never will a rock cry out in my place." I do not want to live my life, and I'm thinking so highly of myself that I'm placing myself above God, that I can't even say, "Thank you, God." I can't worship God. You know what I mean? I don't want to live a life like that. Never will a rock cry out in my place, because I'm going to be the one that's crying out to God.
Yes, because when we humble ourselves, when we let God take the lead and we trust and we delight in Him and we commit ourselves, we stay in that faith and we just rest in His presence. Everything He's going to work it for us. He is working all things for our good. Even when we think bad things are happening, if things are always working for our good. And if it may be harvesting something in your life. Maybe you need to get polished up a little bit with a character or some kind of limiting belief, get rid of it. Those things are working for you in order to shine you so you can come forth as gold.
I definitely believe that. I definitely agree, man. God loves us so much, and He
Yeah.
wants us to be empowered, and that's one of the reasons why. Well, I just think back on all the things that I've gone through in my life, and this interview, it hit on a few things, but not even the full gravity of the things that I've been through. But I always like to say, like, man, look where he brought me from. That's another song we used to sing in a Pentecostal church. And it's like, look where he brought me from. He brought me out of darkness into the marvelous light. Look where he brought me from. And I know that it was like, man, sometimes people might get a little jealous or feel a little envy in their heart because their neighbor over there is like, oh, we just got this and we just got this and God bless us with this. And then we're like, oh, well, God's ignoring me. Where is God? God is always there. He's just waiting for us to come back and meet him. He never leaves us. We leave him for whatever reason. We will have the thought that we are alone. We are never alone if we have God. So I definitely love him. I definitely praise him in any opportunity that I can to really lift other people up.
Yes.
I try to lift them up because I know where my help comes from. And my help is not coming if I'm looking down, because who am I looking at when I'm looking down? I need to look up.
Yeah, exactly. Your redemption draweth nigh. And also don't compare yourself. Anybody listening, or even you, LaQuita, don't compare yourself to anybody because you're the best. Nobody compares to you. I've got a book coming out, You Are Enough, how to stop imposter syndrome, stop comparing yourself to others and start living that true self in Christ, because you have a mission and a purpose. You're here, you're wonderfully designed and made in your mother's womb, as all of our listeners are. And no matter what you've been through, what you're going through now, or what you have came through, you have a story to share with someone, and they're waiting on you to share it so that they can reach their victory, so that they can be pulled up, pull those others up as we go along. That's what we want to do, and help them to realize their potential and what God has really designed them to do and be.
Most definitely. I definitely agree with that. God has a greater purpose for all of us. And even though we may be in a dark time, regardless of what the situation is, it could be could be behind on our bills. We could be unemployed, underemployed, no employed,
Yeah.
anything like that. We could be hungry, no food in the refrigerator. It can be kids might be acting up and, not, where representing the morals and values that you raised them with. It could be anything. If we just turn our attention to God and put our trust in God, have faith the size of a mustard seed. And I always like to say,
Yeah.
forget having faith the size of a mustard seed. I want to have enough faith the size of the mountain that I need God to move for me. I'm like, hey, I have all the faith. I don't know. People say, LaQuita, well, what you gonna do? Honey, I can't do nothing but like just sit back here and wait on God. When he speaks a word to me, then I'll get up and I'll move. I know faith
Well,
works is there, but I'm gonna keep it moving.
yeah, he hears you that first time. I know I was at a church with my sister, and the pastor there said, the Lord has heard your prayer. He heard you the first time you prayed it. So it's like almost like he's saying we don't have to keep on and on, like the little child at your feet, nagging, mama, 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 because he heard us and he is answering that prayer. You may not see anything happening visually in front of you, but behind the scenes, the Holy Spirit is working to make whatever that prayer request is, whatever that is, to come true for you. So this has been really good. I've really enjoyed this. I would like to hear, before you go though, a little bit more about your motivational speaking and your women empowerment. Do you have a program or a platform or anywhere that you're speaking all the time? Are you open for speaking engagements? Tell us.
Oh, yes, I will definitely say that I am open to speaking engagements because I definitely love to go and, just be in the midst of people. And I am open for one-on-one sessions if people, they hear me at an event that I am booked for. And, I just want to be there to help people. And some of the things that I am working on for this year is coming out with some books to actually supplement or complement rather my speaking for motivational speaking. So yes, be on the lookout for those because I am working on those now.
That is wonderful. Okay, so how can people find you? Where they can they connect with you? Do you have a website?
Oh yes, my website is The Empress Reigns. My company's name is Empress Enterprises, and my website is theempressreigns.com.
Okay, and it's You want to spell that for us so everybody can find it?
Oh, yes, www.THEMPRESSREIGNS.com. So
Okay.
theempressreigns.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, LaQuita, and congratulations again on being nominated for Teacher of the Year. And I'm excited to hear more about that. And also, your book's coming out on empowerment, on affirmations, and on your mantras. That's really exciting.
Thank you so much. And thanks for inviting me to your platform and, just to be able to share and breathe life into your listeners. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yes, you're so welcome. And thank you, listeners, today for tuning in and listening to LaQuita and a little bit of her journey going through the foster care system and how she did not let the words of those naysayers impact her. She had that inner desire, inner fire, and kept pressing through. And look at her today. God has favor on her life, and He will have favor on your life too. So stay tuned for our next episode.
Thank you for joining us today on the 360 Network for Women and Real Heart Talk podcast. We're so happy you could join and hope you stay tuned for the next episode.